Shalom, this is your brother Shamar from the Phoenix camp. And with that being said, I want to give our honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work in truth and sincerity. I'm going to jump right into the scripture. This is Matthew 22 and 37. It says, Yahweh Shai said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. So when you read and you meditate upon that verse, basically it's talking about having a spiritual discipline, a spiritual priorities, which is the hallmark of discipline. Priorities is what basically what discipline is all about. So when you have discipline, it means that you recognize that there's certain areas that you have to consider and put attention to before you do other things. That's discipline. If you care about your health, you gotta have the discipline of putting healthy foods, versus junk foods, man. You gotta prioritize things, and to have spiritual discipline is prioritize your obligations to the Most High. Prioritize your time and commitment to Him, and this just work, this truth that we're called into. It requires that a man have spiritual discipline. So let's get 1 Timothy 4 and 7. This is the 1 Timothy 4 and 7. It says 4 and 8. It says, For bodily exercise profiteth little. Well, this speaks about physical discipline in the form of doing exercises. But godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that is now and of that which is to come. Now, that's not saying that there's not benefits to maintaining a physical well-being. Having a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy body. They coincide with one another. But the emphasis is that the priorities are spiritual discipline, man. With spiritual discipline, other things are accomplished. That's why it says, but godliness or spiritual discipline is profitable unto all things. That's gonna help you. That's gonna help you out, man. In your physical training, in your dietary habits, in everything that you do. Having promises of the life that is now and that which is to come. So let's get the reverse comparison for this 1 Timothy 4 and 8. It says, For physical training is of some value, but godliness, spiritual training, or what we can call spiritual discipline, is of value in everything and in every way, since it holds promise for the present life and for the life to come. So there's more advantages and benefits in having spiritual discipline versus physical discipline, because no matter how hard you train, no matter how hard you lift or run or whatever you do as a form of exercise, our bodies ultimately decay and die. But having spiritual discipline or spiritual training, like it says there, there's a greater benefit to it. So, but like the elders and apostles always say, bodily exercise profits little, but it does profit. So there is a profit to it. There is a gain. And it's well. What's the word I'm trying to say? It should be well considered to have some type of form of physical training, in your life, man. You don't want to, just be a slug, man. You don't want to just, lie around with a bunch of bad habits, because ultimately they affect your spiritual well-being as well. If you just slump yourself on the couch every day and eat Cheetos, then basically you're going to start to get sick. You're going to start to get sluggish, and it's going to affect how you do the work. So, all these things coincide, but the point of the scripture is that spiritual discipline has a greater benefit, so that's the priority right there. That's why you read in Matthew 22:37 that the priority is spiritual discipline, man. Let's get the other comparisons. It says, For physical training is of some value, useful for little, but godliness, spiritual training, is useful and of value in everything and in every way, for it holds promise to the present life and also for the life which is to come. So basically it's saying the same thing. Let's see what other translations we got here. It says, see if I can find anything else. Now we'll just move on. No, that's about it, man. But yeah, that's the point of it. You know, the point of it, the point of the lesson is speaking of spiritual discipline. Because spiritual discipline comes spiritual growth. Let's get First Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. This is Salah. That's not what I wanted. This is First Corinthians. Where's it at? God. 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. 1. It says 1 Corinthians 3:1. It says, "And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Yahushua. I have fed you with milk, and not with meat, for hitherto you were not able to bear it, neither yet now are you able." So how do you get out of that milk stage, man? How do you progress, or not get out, but because the milk is very important, man. It's very important to know the milk of the scriptures. That's the foundation for everything, man. You know, the other apostles, you know, always point out the fact, don't try to get too deep, man. But you know what? The milk is deep enough. If you know the milk, if you master the milk, man, you can cut anybody and everything. You can cut any Christian that comes your way. But let's go. I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto you were not able to bear it, neither you yet now are ye able. For ye are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envy and strife and divisions, and yet not are ye not carnal, and walk as men? For one says, I am of Paul, another I am of Apollos, and ye are ye not carnal? So you know you got to move past, you got to progress back past those carnal mind states, man, and that requires that you have a spiritual discipline within yourself. So while it says, for who then is Paul, who is Apollos, but ministers by whom you believe, even as the Lord gave to every man. I have planted, Apollos watered, but Yahweh gave the increase. You know, so the growth, the spiritual growth is going to come from the Most High, man. And that's only going to be done if you put in the work of spiritual discipline or spiritual training, like we read in the previous verse. You know, the comparisons. You know, so just as you are eager to to work on yourself in a physical form, you know, lifting weights, you know, eating healthy, you know, taking supplements, you got to do the same thing on the spiritual side too, man. You know, there's the spiritual supplements are basically the things that help and nurture your growth and understanding His word, which could be videos of the apostles, you know, prayer, you know, things of that nature, man. So there's an aspect to it, you know. And Paul, he compared physical training or physical discipline to spiritual training, spiritual discipline. You know, it said run the race that you may win, man. Let's go ahead and get that. This is 1 Corinthians 9, and I'll start at verse 24. It says, "Know ye not that they which run in the race run all?" So to run in the race requires physical training and physical discipline. It says, "But one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain." And here is Paul. What he's doing here is he's comparing the pursuit of physical discipline or physical excellence or physical training to spiritual discipline, spiritual excellence, spiritual training. It says, "And every man that striveth for the mastery." Now, what does it take to strive for mastery? It takes training and discipline. Temperate is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we are incorruptible. That's why it says that what was it, 1 Timothy, that godliness or spiritual discipline profits everything. It says, "I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so I fight not as one that beateth the air, but to keep under my body and bring it into subjection." So to tame the flesh, man. That's part of being spiritual discipline. That's part of a walking in the Spirit. You got to control and tame your flesh. That's that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. So that right there, he's talking about being an example of spiritual discipline. You know, these are just a few, you know, thoughts, a few scriptures. You know, right here at the plantation, Most High willing, hope is edifying. With that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Let's keep on pushing. Shalom.